Today we are going to continue to solve systems of equations with elimination. So second day of practice, same thing that we did yesterday, and then we're going to add one little thing to it at the very end. So if we look at number 1, this is a review of what we did yesterday. So let's see what you remember. So in the first one, we have two equations. When we look at these equations, we're looking for a letter that has the same number, the same coefficient, but it has different signs. So when we look at this here, the x has a 6 in both of those terms, and they have opposite signs. So those are ready to eliminate. -6 plus 6 is 0, so there's no x's left when we combine like terms. So 5y's plus 4y's is 9y. 1 minus 10 is -9. Then we need to get y by itself, so to do that we divide by 9 and divide by 9. So that leaves me with a y equals and a -1. So then I take that y equals -1 and I plug it into any equation to solve for x. So I'm going to pick this one because there are less negatives. Well, it's the same amount. I just like that one. You can pick either equation, and I'm going to write it down. 6x plus 4. Instead of that y, I'm replacing it with a -1, and it equals -10. So now I'm ready to solve. 6x, 4 times -1 is a -4, equals -10. Get x by itself, plus 4, plus 4, 6x equals -6. Get x by itself, divide by 6, divide by 6. So x equals -1. So now we have solved for both the x and the y. Let's look at number 2. So in number 2, we do not have a letter that is ready to cancel yet. But if we look at this second equation, I can make this letter cancel with this one if it became a 4. If that said -4x, then these two would cancel. So to turn this into a -4, I need to multiply it by 2. So I'm going to rewrite the first equation. That one's not changing. And then I'm going to multiply 2 all the way through the second equation. So I rewrote the first equation, and then I multiplied the second equation times 2. So now I can solve for combined like terms because my x's will cancel. 4x minus 4x is no more x's. 15 plus 20 is the number 35. 7 minus 52 is the number, oh, it's 17, I'm sorry. 17 minus 52 is the number -35. Get y by itself by dividing. So that leaves me with y equals -1. I take that y value and I put it in my ordered pair as -1. Now I pick either equation, and I'm going to write it down. This says 4x plus 15 instead of y. Y is -1, and equals 17. 4x minus 15 equals 17. Get x by itself, add 15 to both sides. 4x equals 32. Divide by 4, divide by 4, x is 8. Okay, so now you're going to try the same thing with number 3. So in number 3, we do not have a letter that is ready to cancel yet, but we do have one that's almost ready. If we look at these x's, 4x and 4x, we can almost get those to cancel. So what we need to do is we need to multiply, pick either equation, doesn't matter which one, and we're going to multiply it times a -1, so that way they will cancel. So my first equation is just 4x plus 8y equals 20. My second equation, multiply times negative 1. That's negative 4x plus 2y equals negative 30. Now we can combine like terms. 4x's minus 4x's. We'll make that go away. 8 plus 2 is 10y. 20 minus 30 is a negative 10. Every time. So y equals negative 1. Pure coincidence that all of these are negative 1. So now we take this, pick any equation and write it down. 4x plus 8. Instead of y is negative 1 equals 20. 4x minus 8 equals 20. Move the number first. And divide. So x is 7. So the first part of this is very easy. We just need to cancel a letter. We use elimination. We have to cancel this letter here. And then in the second equation, we have to take that y value and plug it into the second equation. So now we're going to do the same thing, but a little bit more difficult. So if we look at number 4, if I look at these numbers, 3 times nothing will ever make a 5, and 4 times nothing will ever make a 9. So there is nothing I can just multiply one equation by to make this cancel. So what we have to do is we have to multiply them both by some number. So I like to eliminate my x's. You can eliminate either, but the x's for me are just a little bit easier to see. So to eliminate these numbers, what I could do is turn them into a 15. So in this top one, if I multiplied those by 3, then I would end up with 15x. In the bottom, if I multiplied by negative 5, that would give me a negative 15x. So I take those front numbers and I multiply it times the opposite. That gets a 3, that gets a 5. This has to be negative because we need for them to cancel. 3 times 5x is 15x. 3 times 4 is 12y. 3 times negative 30 is negative 90. Negative 5 times 3 is a negative 15x. Negative 5 times negative 8 is a positive 45y. Negative 5 times 18 is negative 90, positive 90. So now we combine like terms. 15x's minus 15x's is 0x's. 12y's plus 45y's is 57y's. Negative 90 plus 90 is 0, which is fine. The number 0 is just a number. Then we divide by 57. So y equals 0. I take that y value and I plug it into any of my original equations. I'm going to pick the first one. Those numbers are nice. 5x plus 4. Instead of that y is 0 equals negative 30. 5x plus 0 is negative 30 minus 0 divided by 5. Okay, so I would get the ordered pair. X is negative 6, y is 0. So go ahead and try numbers 5 and 6. We need to eliminate a letter. In order to eliminate, I can multiply those times 4s, those times 7s, then my x's will match. They already have opposite signs, so they would be ready to eliminate. So try number 5 and number 6. Okay, when you're ready, go ahead and flip on over to number 7. So now, what we had said in the very, very first chapter is that when we are graphing, there are 3 things that could happen. They could cross at one ordered pair, and that's one solution, which is what we've been doing this whole chapter so far. They can never cross, which we call that no solution. Or when you graph them, they could have graphed on the exact same line, which we call infinitely many solutions. So we'll have that when we are doing elimination as well. So how it works is no solution happens when the letters cancel, but a number, a constant, remains. Infinitely many solutions happens when everything cancels. So if we look at this first example, 5x minus 5x, no x's. Combine like terms, 4y's minus 4y's, no y's. But if you look here, negative 30 plus 20 is negative 10. There's no x's and no y's, they canceled. There is a number left over, that's not good. So this is called no solution. No solution. No solution happens when both letters cancel, but there is a number that remains. So let's look at the next one. Negative 4x plus 4x, goodbye, those would go away. Negative 8 plus 8, goodbye, those go away. Negative 9 plus 9 would also cancel. So if everything cancels, it's called infinitely many solutions. Infinitely many solutions. So let's look at number 9. Number 9 is not ready to eliminate yet because the y is on the wrong side. So I'm going to subtract 2y before I even start. 3x minus 2y equals 2. Now it's in standard form. 6x minus 4y equals negative 8. In order to eliminate, I need for these guys to cancel. So I can cancel my x's if I multiply the front times negative 2. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6x. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4y. Negative 2 times 2 is a negative 4. Now when we look at this, let's see what happens. My x's are going to cancel, my y's are going to cancel, and there is a number left over. So go ahead and write down if you think it's no solution or IMS. So my letters cancel, but a number remains, so that's no solution. Okay, so now you guys are going to practice. So this is where you'd have to find a letter, make it cancel. So in number 1, I can multiply that whole bottom equation times 2. First equation gets to stay as is. Second equation needs to multiply times 2. And then it's ready to eliminate. Remember, your final answer in each of these is an ordered pair. It's an X and it's a Y. So go ahead and practice eliminating. And then tomorrow you guys will have a quiz, and then you will learn the calculator method to be able to do all of this solving of systems in the calculator. Very, very easy.